Welcome back to Jersey Matters. Here's some good news. There was a record number of organ donors last year in New Jersey. However, more are still needed because people are waiting. Let's talk about that with Carolyn Welsh, who is the Vice President and Clinical Officer at the New Jersey Sharing Network. Well, let's start off, by the way, thanks for being here. But
thanks for having me.
What is the New Jersey Sharing Network?
So New Jersey Sharing Network is a federally designated organ procurement organization, and we get a certain service area and number of hospitals that we service in New Jersey to provide transplants for those that are waiting.
So you had the most ever of organ donors last year?
Yes, we did, 190, and it was our record year, and it's our 30th anniversary.
So when you say it's 190, I guess I thought the number would be higher than that, but that would be people that would be signing up to be organ donors. You mean people that actually donated organs?
Yes, and most people think that that's a very low number, and it is, because most people think that anyone could be a donor. Someone else could say yes and save a life, but people don't necessarily want to think about it for themselves. And it's only 190 because less than 1% of people medically can donate organs and die in the hospital in the way that you could be an organ donor.
So I guess what you want is for people at least to take that first step and find out if they could be an organ donor.
Yes.
Is
absolutely.
that number up too?
Yes. So in New Jersey, we encourage people to make sure that they talk to their families. Signing up on the registry is very important to designate your wishes and your decision to be a donor. But talking to your family is the greatest gift that you could give. When someone dies, nobody in your family wants to be shocked by a decision that you made and didn't speak to anyone about it. They feel that they've lost something when they don't know what you wanted. So we also encourage people to continue to talk about it and also to register to be a donor.
So when you say you need to talk to your family about your personal decision whether to donate an organ, is that because it affects your family?
Yes. So if you don't designate your donor designation for yourself, then the decision is left to your legal next of kin at the time of your death.
And what normally happens in that case?
Yes. So
they probably don't, because they don't know what the wishes are.
So what we do is we have very highly trained, specific clinical staff, many of them nurses, and they're trained to work with families in tragic situations. These aren't people with terminal illness. These are people that went to work or school that day and they didn't come home. So it's very sudden. So it's a very, very high emotion. Families are in the hospital for a few days with no sleep, and they have to make a very, very difficult decision for a loved one. And if they don't know what that person would have wanted, we try to get them to kind of think about what that person would have wanted themselves or what they would do for that person.
What is the need right now in New Jersey? How many people are waiting?
So in New Jersey right now, 4,000 people are waiting for a life-saving organ transplant.
And what is the greatest need?
So kidneys is the largest need of an organ in New Jersey as well.
And you can, forgive me for not knowing this because I'm lacking in my medical knowledge, but you can donate a kidney and still live. You don't have to do it. It's not one of those family decisions you have to make.
Yes, you can. And actually there's a lot of education and encouragement. We also have altruistic donors that it's not even someone they know. Someone decides that they want to give an organ and they contact one of the transplant centers and they say, I would like to be evaluated to donate a kidney.
So this gets back to one of the original questions, and that is, you not only need organ donors, you need people to be tested and sign up and find out if they can be an organ donor. And how does someone go about doing that?
So they can contact their local transplant centers throughout New Jersey.
Easy to find?
Yep. Yes, they can, yes.
Do they go to your network to find them?
They can go on to the Sharing Network's website, and we have all the information on there for them to find that out.
And what is the test? What happens once you say, I'd like to be an organ donor?
So for living donation, it is a very extensive testing medically to make sure that there's nothing wrong with the potential person who would be the living donor. The goal is not to put them at risk for any medical conditions that they would have in the future. And then there's blood tests and tissue typing to make sure that they would be a good match for that person. And psychologically as well. Why do you want to do this? Are you doing it for the right reasons? And all of that is an extensive amount of time that they do to make sure that someone can be a living donor.
And once somebody makes that decision, everything's paid for? Is all the care paid for at that point, the medical treatment? So
the cost is basically based on insurance companies. That's the kind of the simplest way to talk about it. Yes, most people we say to make sure that they check with their health insurance to make sure that their coverage, and also about their work. they would have some time out of work that they would need to make sure that that's approved for their work.
So unless you do what you do, you don't think of these barriers, but
Yes.
there are several barriers that have to be leaped over to get to the point where you can be an organ donor. What is the state of the federal government? How do they come down on this? Do they make it a little bit easier for you?
So we definitely have a lot of regulations, just like hospitals would or any medical institution. We have highly regulated processes and procedures, and the government and the United States, we work together. There's 58 organ procurement organizations like New Jersey Sharing Network, and we really do work to get best practices together with our goal of maximizing the amount of gifts that we can provide.
You know, they have family leave. I would think that
Yes.
if you were an organ donor and you saved a life, that have organ
Yes.
donor leave, but there is no such thing as that,
Yes.
unless the individual companies do it, right?
Well, in the federal, the medical leave, family medical leave, I just state that most people should check depending on what their work situation is, and most would probably mostly qualify for that.
Oh, they
in
would?
their organization.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, because I'm thinking that they should make it as easy as possible.
Yeah, that
not
would be,
as difficult as
yes,
possible.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for
Thank you
coming
so much
in.
for
How do
having
people
me.
contact you again?
At njsharingnetwork.org.
Great. Carolyn Welsh is the Vice President and Clinical Officer at NJ Sharing Network, and it's njsharingnetwork.org. When we come back, meet New Jersey's Teacher of the Year, who's in competition to be America's Teacher of the Year. When Jersey Matters continues.